Good evening and welcome to my video. Today we will be discussing the difference between freedom and liberty in early Western civilization. As assigned in the prompt, I will be focusing on Aristotle, Cicero, and Johannes Althusius as I define the difference between liberty and freedom. Creating the base for my work, I will draw from the works of each scholar, such as Aristotle's Politics, Cicero's De Re Publica, and De Legibus, as well as Althusius's Politica. In addition to these works, I will draw from other secondary sources to maintain clarity in this video. So let us begin. First, I want to clarify the difference between liberty and freedom. Liberty is broken down into two different concepts, positive and negative. Negative liberty describes the availability of actions without any political restraints. Positive liberty covers the potential actions or the possibility of controlling one's actions or life. In brief, liberty involves a person or collective's free will, in other words, the possibility of choice and acting on that choice. Negative liberty is more concerned with the individual liberty, while positive liberty references to a more collective context. In antiquity, primarily from a Greek perspective, freedom is involved the communal protection from internal and external attacks, as well as allowing the group to completely develop. In Roman antiquity, Cicero gives us a strong insight into classical republicanism with his works De Re Publica and Publica and De Legibus. He explains that the liberty is provided through the safety and structure of the republic by giving those men who are considered superior have the obligation to lead, such as great cities are to be ranked above small villages and strongholds. Through this structure, the collective and individual are provided the libertas, i.e., liberty. However, he explains that as this life becomes richer and safer through thought and effort, men must not fall into the desire of vice. Vice, which is referred to as self-mastery for the individual rather than non-domination by internal and external threats, becomes a threat to the republic. Self-mastery is achieved by reaching a level of non-interference which stems from non-denomination. For a modern reference, non-interference and self-mastery would run parallel to the political left, such as liberalism and socialism. In Greek antiquity, Aristotle gives us a look through his work Politics, which emphasizes political philosophy. Aristotle, like Cicero, points out that liberty is best achieved in the republic. He concentrates on the virtues of proper household management, such as the rule over one's wife and children. He places public life far more virtuous than private life, as it is a man's natural place to be visible in the polis, or city. We see in his works that Greek individual freedom was stressed as a private life virtue, not in the public sphere of life. To clarify the different levels, freedom pertained to the free states and the polis, while individual liberty was restricted to within the polis, in other words, private life. To dive further into individual freedom, human beings were expected to follow a rational path to life and not cave to their desires of a life without rationality. If allowed to do so, they turn into slaves of their desires and are no longer free. This is like Cicero's understanding to vice, as I explained earlier. Moving towards Northern Europe, I will be covering Johannes Althusius and his work Politica. By the time that Althusius was born, Christianity had contributed a large part to the notion of freedom. It brought the dignity to human beings based on the direction of the Bible and in the Christian sense, the brotherhood of Christendom. Christian freedom, like Cicero and Aristotle, taught against the dangers of vice, life without rationality, and living in sin. Althusius follows this line of thought, and in one of his other works, the De Cacologia, he explains that natural laws follow the will of God. To him, common sense and moral laws are subject to God's natural law. To understand these laws, one must study the Scripture. In conclusion, and in antiquity perspective, liberties are granted and protected by the nation. And to Cicero and Aristotle, the republic is the best political system to grant liberties. In a democracy, people have too much freedom based on the protected liberties of the democracy, leading to vice, self-mastery, and life without rationality. Moving forward, Althusius points out that freedom is granted by God through the protected liberties of the nation, which is also protected by God. Without God and the nation, there can neither be liberties or freedom. Anarchy provides no liberties, which means there is no protection for freedom to flourish. Thank you for watching my video, and God bless.